In this week's edition of the Rebel Report, we'll begin with the battle for the Fremont Cannon, the biggest rivalry trophy in all of college sports. Unfortunately, there was no boom from the Rebels in this game. A lot of hoops action in town, starting with the Runnin Rebels and continuing with the tournament at the MGM Grand with teams from across the country. Our hockey team has a name. We were at the unveiling of the name and logo for the Valley's first Major League franchise. All of this and more, the Rebel Report starts now. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Rebel Report. We hope you all had a great Thanksgiving break without gaining a pound. I'm Lindsay DeValle.
And I'm Barbara Farkas. In this week's show, we got plenty of basketball highlights from teams across the country in our hometown. And UNLV men's golf head coach Dwaine Knight will join us in just a bit for this week's Rebel Report timeout.
First, we begin with football. The weather might have cooled down over the break, but over at Sam Boyd Stadium, it was heating up on the field between Rebels and the Wolfpack on November 26th. Haley Brooks covers the battle for the Fremont Cannon.
The UNLV Rebels closed out their season at home against longtime rival UNR in hopes to defend the longtime coveted Fremont Cannon. The stadium was filled with thousands of fans, all decked out in scarlet and gray to cheer on their home team for the biggest game of the season. But after UNR put up 27 points in just the first half, the outcome did not look promising for the Rebs. Junior quarterback Kurt Palandek did manage to fight his way through 6 tackle attempts into the end zone for what would be the Rebels' only touchdown of the game. But it wasn't enough to take the win. With a final score of 45-10, Coach Tony Sanchez and his players were obviously disappointed in their final game of a roller coaster season.
You know, it's a big game, and those are the kind of games that you want to come out and perform really well in. And, you know, I'm disappointed in our lack of preparedness, obviously, lack of physicality, and, you know, and they just took us out to the woodshed today. So, I mean, there's no excuses. We just flat out got, you know, beat by a team.
Yeah, we felt ready to go. I mean, personally, I felt like our guys were ready to go out there and compete, but obviously we weren't. So we just gotta prepare better and play more consistent.
After a very upsetting loss to UNR, the Cannon that once called Sam Boyd Stadium its home is now on its way back to Reno, where it'll be painted blue. But Coach Sanchez says we got to let this loss simmer, find the positives from this season, and use that as momentum to go into the 2017 season. I'm Haley Brooks from the Rebel Report.
The football team finished its season with a record of 4-8, 3-5 in the Mountain West play, a slight improvement from 2015 season. Hopefully Sanchez and the team can recoup over this offseason and increase their wins again next year.
Well, I hope Reno's athletic department puts some money aside to pay for the excessive baggage fees at the airport, because that's some heavy artillery that they're checking in.
College football's biggest and most expensive trophy was up for grabs at the season finale at the Sam Boyd Stadium, November 26th. Here's Leonard Schaefer with the history of the Fremont Cannon.
Fighting out of the scarlet and gray corner, weighing in at 545 pounds and with a price tag of $10,000, presenting college football's largest and most expensive prize, the Fremont Cannon. An exact replica of John C. Fremont's howitzer cannon used during his 19th century expedition of the West, the Fremont Cannon has been contested between UNLV and Nevada since 1970. The latest battle for one of the most unique trophies in American sports saw the Rebels and Wolfpack meet for the 42nd time November 26. The Rebels took the Cannon home last year, beating Nevada on their home turf. Now, the Wolfpack traveled south with a chip on their shoulder to return the favor.
I mean, there's a little bit of us against the world in there, and that's okay. I'm okay with it. A lot of great things have been done with that demeanor, and I know that was how Coach Alt built the thing. It was us against the world. And frankly, sometimes I feel that way too, and that's okay.
It was a message that Coach Polian clearly delivered to his team going into Sam Boyd.
When Nevada fans ask us about the season, like, that's one of the top questions, like, did you guys beat UNLV, or did you guys say you had the Cannon? So that's just been crazy, like, to witness the Cannon be taken away and watch it be painted in red. It was an awful feeling.
This year, junior running back James Butler had a field day in Sam Boyd, rushing for 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. The 45-10 victory for the Wolfpack led to an improvised painting at midfield as players and fans celebrated the return of the Blue Cannon.
It's gut-wrenching. It hurts. You know, we got some wonderful seniors that have done some tremendous things over the course of the 2 years that I've been here, and that's a tough way for them to go on out.
For the Rebel Report, I'm Leonardo Schauer.
I guess it's only fitting that the two biggest schools from the battle-born state fight for a cannon every year.
It wasn't all good news for the Wolfpack, however. Right after the game, head coach Brian Poyen was fired, and he had a 23-27 record in his 4 years as head coach. In June, Las Vegas was granted its first major league franchise with the birth of a team in Las Vegas. But until November 22nd, the team had no name. Now they'll be known as the Vegas Golden Knights. The Rebel Report, Luis Negretti, shows us the big reveal.
Vegas received an early holiday present, which wouldn't have been possible without the help of this guy right here.
3, 2, 1. And there you go, the Vegas Golden Knights.
The last time the NHL added a new team to the roster was when the league introduced the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Minnesota Wild in 2000. As of November 22nd, the Vegas Golden Knights are not only the first NHL franchise in 16 years, but also the first professional sports franchise in the city.
The Vegas Golden Knights. Oh my!
Bill Foley's going to be a terrific owner. T-Mobile's a great arena. We know, and you saw it tonight, there's great fan support for NHL hockey and for the Vegas Golden Knights here. This is going to be a great opportunity for fans in Las Vegas, for visitors to Las Vegas, and for the league.
The Vegas Golden Knights owner believes that 80 to 90% of the crowd during the regular season will be made up of season ticket holders. The team has already sold over 14,000 season tickets of the 17,500 total, which means Vegas has been waiting for hockey for a while.
We got 3,700 deposits or 3,500 deposits the first day, and a lot of people from other towns said, "Well, that's not a big deal." Well, that's a pretty big deal for a team that doesn't exist, that doesn't have an arena, that's not a hockey centric. And then when we hit 10,000, the league was really impressed. And then we kept on going. And we finally got to like 16,000 season ticket deposits. It was unbelievable.
Once the ticket drive was underway, it was clear to us that this was a community that wanted a professional team, was really passionate about getting an NHL team. And I believe the more we saw of it, the more that this was going to work and that this was a place that we should be.
Bill Foley had different options for the name of the team, but there was one deciding factor to close the deal.
It was there the whole way, but I'll tell you, I liked Nighthawks. We had that name. I liked Desert Hawks. We had that name. I kind of like Sidewinders, but I wanted a name that was this team oriented, this thing about being of the warrior class.
The Vegas Golden Knights owner told the public that he wants the championship within 6 years, something that got the crowd really excited. For the Rebel Report, I'm Luis Negrete.
Jerseys are expected to come out in February, and the first game will be played next fall.
In recent years, Thanksgiving week has become the unofficial start to the NCAA basketball season. There are dozens of early season tournaments taking place all across the country and even abroad, like the Cancun Challenge in Mexico or the Battle for Atlantis in the Bahamas. This year, Vegas hosted 3 tournaments with UNLV playing in one on its home floor.
The Runnin Rebels hosted the Global Sports Classic here at the Thomas and Mack in what turned out to be a pretty interesting event. The split bracket tournament featured 4 main schools, the Washington Huskies, who came in as the favorites, the TCU Horned Frogs, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, and of course the Runnin Rebels of UNLV. Semifinals took place on Friday, November 25th, where the favored Huskies started things off with a bang against the Hilltoppers. Led by junior forward Justin Johnson, the Hilltoppers had no answer for the high-powered Husky offense. The Huskies' highly touted freshman guard Markelle Fultz messed around, almost had a triple-double. They would advance 86-47 to meet the winner of the second game of the evening, TCU versus UNLV. The home crowd was in full effect this game. Amongst the back drama, TCU freshman point guard Jalen Fisher verbally committed to UNLV, but ultimately decided to sign with the Horned Frogs. Rebel fans obviously remembered, and they let him have it. Every time he touched the ball, he was showered with boos.
They're letting them know, hey, you should have chose red.
However, despite several opportunities to take over the game, the Runnin' Rebels would fall to the Horned Frogs 59-63 and would play the Hilltoppers in the consolation game, which they might have found some consolation in since they would end up defeating the Hilltoppers 71-61. Forward Terrell Green went 5 for 6 from behind the arc, scoring a career-high 23 points, and not only did guard Jalen Poyser have a career-high 22 points, he also had a career-high 9 assists. The championship game between TCU and Washington lived up to expectations. McDonald's All-American Markelle Fultz showed why many suggest he is going top 5 in next year's NBA draft, scoring a game-high 27 points. Unfortunately for the Huskies, it wouldn't be enough to top the Horned Frogs from Texas. TCU's bench outscored Washington's 48-18 to earn them a real team victory and Global Sports Classic Championship, with a final score of 93-80. For the Rebel Report, I'm Justin Guzman.
After splitting the Global Sports Classic, the Runnin' Rebels played its first road game of the season against Southern Utah on December 1st, beating former Rebels head coach Todd Simon 89-81. The Rebels are now 5-2 with games coming December 3rd at Arizona State and December 10th against Duke. That game will be at T-Mobile Arena. The Runnin' Rebels have retired 8 basketball jerseys through the course of the program's history. That is, until very recently when they added one more to the rafters at the Thomas Mack Center. Chelsea Garcia has more.
Thanks, Barb. That's right. UNLV has only retired 8 other jerseys, a few of which include Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, and Greg Anthony. We got a chance to see history in the making last month with the retirement of legendary Eddie Owens' number 11 jersey. Take a look.
On November 16th, UNLV retired Eddie Owens' jersey number 11. Eddie Owens made Runnin' Rebels history as the all-time leading scorer. He scored 2,221 points, and that was before three-pointers were considered a shot.
Remarkable accomplishment, but you know, that was never my goal. My goal was to win a national championship for this school, and we fell a little short, but like I said, there's no losers at the Final Four. My goal was to win a championship and win as many games as we could.
Only 8 other people joined Owens in the retirement of their numbers, so this was an incredible honor. Other honorees include Larry Johnson and Owens' own Hardway 8 teammates, Reggie Theus and Glenn Gondrzak.
This is a wonderful engagement, and I'm thrilled, and I'm excited, and I'm emotional. And it's been a long time, but you know the old saying, the longer the berries stay on the vine, the sweeter it is.
Owens is most notable for being a part of the famous Hardway Eight. The team Jerry Tarkanian led to the Final Four and put UNLV's name on the map. Owens played from 1973 until 1977. His senior year was the year that the team set NCAA records and took 3rd place in the championships. This team and their incredible history paved the way for future Runnin' Rebels.
It was an honor to see Eddie Owens marked down in our halls forever. Owens also told us he is sharing this honor with the rest of his teammates. Let's go back to the desk.
Eddie Owens was inducted into the UNLV Hall of Fame back in 2012, so this latest honor was a long time coming for our all-time leading scorer.
On November 27th, the 2 Rebel teams went head-to-head. The Lady Rebels hosted the Ole Miss Rebels at the Cox Pavilion.
It's the first meeting for the school since 1990 when Ole Miss beat UNLV 66-62 in the second round of the 1990 NCAA tournament. But revenge came 26 years later.
The first quarter in the championship of the Lady Rebel Roundup on November 27th started out slow as UNLV couldn't get much going offensively, allowing Ole Miss to take a 16-11 point lead. The second quarter was a closer battle between the 2 Rebel teams, tying 5 times until late when U of M's Medina Muhammad hit a tray, giving Ole Miss a 5-point edge with just 7 seconds left, until UNLV's Brooke Johnson knocked down 3 of her own at the buzzer to bring the Lady Rebs within 2 at the half.
Halftime, we just talked about how both teams are even. And when you looked at the halftime stats, they made the same amount of free throws as us. They had the exact same amount of rebounds as us. Same amount of turnovers. I think they had one more assist than us. And we said to our team, it's going to come down to heart and who's going to make sure that they dominate the boards. And we totally took them out in the third quarter and dominated the boards. We just have a mentally tough team. We're mentally tough. We have great leadership. Dakota and Brooke have great leadership. And these girls just are mentally tough players and continue to get better.
The Lady Rebels turned up the heat defensively midway through the third as they held Ole Miss to just 9 points, forcing 6 missed shots with a pair of turnovers. UNLV used a 10-0 run to take a 48-42 lead into the fourth quarter, which they wouldn't let go of for the remainder of the game. UNLV stays undefeated with a 64-57 victory over Ole Miss, and after beating USC on November 19th, the Lady Rebels now have 2 wins over a Power 5 school this season. The team looks to keep their season trending upwards as December begins.
We're super excited to be undefeated, but we know, looking forward, it just gets harder and harder. We have, BYU, we have Oregon State. It's only going to get harder, so we're just going to learn from it, but also work on the little things and still make improvements.
The Rebels claimed its first championship trophy in its own Thanksgiving tournament since 2005 when they beat Tennessee Tech.
Once the ladies get back from the Maui Classic in Hawaii, they'll travel to California to take on Pepperdine on December 9th and UC Irvine on December 12th. More tournament basketball taking place only a mile west of the UNLV campus. The MGM Grand hosted its own event with its teams from all over the country, including the popular BYU Cougars. Joanne Mendoza has more.
Fans from across the country came out this Thanksgiving break to support their favorite team at the MGM Grand Garden Arena at the Men Who Speak Up tournament. It was an 8-team tournament that took place on November 21st through the 23rd. This makes it the tournament's 3rd annual appearance since 2014 at the MGM Garden Arena. The tournament consists of 2 brackets, the middleweight and the heavyweight, and the championship game that took place on November 23rd, where many BYU and Valparaiso fans attended to support their team for an early Thanksgiving. With the amount of BYU fans that came into town, it almost seemed like a home game for them as they cheered them on in the stands.
We like playing on the road. We had a great turnout too. And I know BYU is closer, and I thought our fans did a great job cheering us on. But for us, we like the, us versus them, us versus the world mentality, and builds a lot of character. And our guys showed that tonight.
BYU led for most of the game with a good lead in the first half, but it was the last 5 minutes in the second half where Valparaiso took over and won.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought game. I mean, they came out very strong. Good team. We had to really battle the whole game. Defense is what we pride ourselves on. So that's what I try to work on every day. That's what we do good as a team. And, I haven't been shooting the ball well the last 2 games. I just try to come out with a clear mind and just make plays.
30 minutes ago, this arena was filled with many disappointing BYU fans, but it was the Crusaders that walked out of this arena with a victory. For the Rebel Report, I'm Joanne Mendoza.
Thanks, Joanne. We're going to switch things up a bit and talk some golf. Let's send it to Shakira Hawkins for this week's Rebel Report Timeout.
Rebel Report Timeout.
Hi, everyone. Our special guest today is men's golf head coach Dwaine Knight. Hi, Coach. How are you doing today?
Hi. Nice to be with you.
Good. You guys, you've been at the university for 30 years. That's longer than I've been alive.
That's a long time.
It is. What's so special about UNLV that keeps you so invested and loyal to the university?
Well, I think I got in on a lot of the growing of the university when I first came here, and that was exciting for me to see the town grow and the university grow at the same time. And I think the university is an integral part of the city and of the future of what's going to happen to all the citizens here. So it's fun to be in on the ground floor of that. And sports is really one of the big things of this town. And we've had a lot of success in the past with so many sports getting to the highest level. And it looks like we're going to get an NFL team, an NBA, and all of that. And this is a city that can support that. We've been lucky in our golf program. They've really stood behind us. And golf started when I first got here with about 10 golf courses, and it exploded to over almost 60 at one time. So golf itself has really grown here, and our team has benefited from that growth.
You guys started in September. You guys had the Thanksgiving break, and then you guys start back up in February. How do you feel about your team this point in the season?
Played pretty well in the fall. We're ranked in the top 25 in all the polls, 17 in one of them. We played really well. We won our first one at Air Force, and then we went to Olympia Fields in Chicago, which is one of the great courses. Hosted several U.S. Opens and PGAs there, and we finished 6th in that field, and that was the top teams in the country there. And we ended up going to Alabama, our last tournament, playing against Auburn and Alabama back in their part of the country in Florida, and we ended up 2nd there, losing to Auburn by 1 shot. So Johnny Oda got off to a good start. He won 2 of the 4 events himself. He's now ranked 22nd in the world. And that's a great honor for him. So pretty pleased with our start. I thought it was solid. And now I got to work on the grades, get those all up to par, and hopefully go into break with them playing a few tournaments around the country and some around the world for them. And then get back in the spring and make a run at the national championship.
Nice. You guys made it to the NCAA tournament last season. What do you expect?
I think with all those guys back, we've got a couple of freshmen that are pretty good right now too. Our goal is to get back there and compete. We've gone to the regionals for 28 years in a row, and that's an NCAA record. But our goal is to try to compete for the national championship. And this year will be in Illinois at Rich Harvest Farms. We played there several times over the last few years, a really hard golf course. But we tend to play well in Chicago, so maybe that'll be a good omen for us to get back there and make a run at another national title.
Do you see this team being a national championship? Are they capable, do you think?
I think we've gotten much better real quickly. Our depth is better this year. I think Harry Hall just got named to the Elite 9 in England, and that'll really help him with his experience. He was a freshman last year and sophomore this year, but he's really improved a lot. And our depth's a little bit better right now, and so I think it's a team that could make a run. Most of these guys are back from winning the conference championship last year, and I think with Johnny Oda and Shintaro Ban and Harry Hall, kind of the guys we got to really look toward. All of them having experience at the regionals should give us a good shot getting through that and back to the finals.
How do you think Oda's success reflects on the golf program in the university?
Well, I think he's an all-around All-American. You know, he's really good in school. It's not easy for him. He really concentrates and wants a degree and wants to not just get a degree, but you know, make good grades, and he's very productive. And I think that helps his golf game. He's not just trying to get by. I think all the great ones that we've had here, and we've had many, like Adam Scott and Ryan Moore, and I think Johnny's one of those type of guys that is going to give his very best at whatever's in front of him. And that's what the best in the world do, and I think he's got a good career ahead of him, but I know he's focused on getting UNLV back to the top.
Right. Recently, golf legend Arnold Palmer passed away. Can you tell us about his legacy on the sport of golf and your relationship with him?
Well, I was very fortunate. A few years back, he started a competition between Europe and the United States with college players, and it was called the Palmer Cup. And he picked me to be the first coach of that team. It's been over 20-something years now that they've run that competition. But it was a great honor for me to go down there and spend that week with him at Bay Hill. And to tell you a quick story about him, I called him up before the event and I said, would you like to talk to our team in the locker room before we go to the first round? And he said, well, let me call you back in about another day. I got to think about that. And he called me back and he said, Dwaine, I don't think that's the right thing to do. He said, if I talk to you guys, then I'll have to talk to the Europeans. And I tell you what I'll do, after you win, so no pressure there, right? He says, I'll talk to your guys. And we did win, and he came in and he was so gracious and told us how proud he was that we won on America's soil, his home course, in the very first Palmer Cup. So golf lost a legend, but he left so much of a great track record behind him of building up people, building up the sport, and really caring about, I think, individuals, across the nation and the world. And he was a great ambassador for our game.
Nice. It looks like that's all the time we have today. I want to thank you so much for coming here, and we're going to go ahead and toss it back to Lindsay at the desk.
For the second straight week, a men's soccer player was honored with Rebel of the Week. On November 23rd, UNLV announced that junior midfielder Oscar Velasquez turned in the best individual performance out of all student athletes. After a rough start to the season, the men's soccer team won 3 straight games in the WAC tournament to earn their second NCAA postseason bid in the last 3 years. UNLV played number 19 San Diego State on November 11th in the first round of the tournament, and Velasquez scored the winning penalty kick to give UNLV a 6-5 shootout victory to advance the Rebels to the second round of the NCAA tournament for the first time since 1985. Velasquez scored 4 goals and 6 assists during his 2016 season and will return next year.
I think we have a really good team, so I think for next year, I think we'll be doing that more often, and hopefully we'll get that award more consistently, more than just 2 years. And this year, Danny Mazowski, I think it was a player who last got it. He's a very good player, very good teammate, very good friend outside the field. So I'm proud of him, and then I'm excited that I ended up getting that award as well.
The Rebels' season came to an end in a 3-0 second-round loss at 4th-ranked Denver on November 20th, but Velasquez hopes to come back next year even stronger for his senior campaign. It's time again to dust off those cowboy boots and saddle up for the National Finals Rodeo that's taking place right here on campus.
The National Finals Rodeo is the biggest event at the Thomas Mack Center, and the preparations start way before the main event.
Coming into its 32nd year at the Thomas & Mack, the NFR takes hours of manpower to transform the arena from a basketball court to one of the world's most prestigious rodeos. The preparations not only take a lot of crew members, but a lot of dirt. More than 2,000 tons for the arena and the stalls outside. And for the animals, there are more than 700 head of livestock, including 310 head of bucking stock, 74 calves, 120 steer, and 90 contestant horses. As for the event itself, in 2015 there was a total attendance of over 170,000 people for the 10 days of competition. And that many people means a lot of money, but not just for the Thomas & Mack, also for the city that transforms from the entertainment capital of the world to cowboy country.
It's just become where the town is all NFR for 10 days and not just the event over here. So you've really seen the growth as a city. I think that was important. Obviously fans for any event love to come to the entertainment capital of the world, so I think that was important to all the rodeo fans to be in Las Vegas, because it's really a match made in heaven with the two combined. The great National Finals Rodeo, the biggest sports spectacle in the world for 10 days, and the greatest city in the world, just a natural fit.
The event includes bareback riding, steer wrestling, team roping, saddle bronc riding, tie-down roping, barrel racing, and, of course, bull riding. And during its 10-day takeover, we can definitely expect to see a lot more cowboy hats walking around the strip to take part in this one-of-a-kind event.
Rumor has it that tickets to the event sell out a year before the main event. So if you're planning on going to NFR 2017, you should probably look into getting your tickets now. For the Rebel Report, I'm Cassie Soto.
If you aren't able to attend this year and really wanted to go, there's always next year or even the year after that. Last year, the NFR signed a contract with the Thomas & Mack stating that it will call Las Vegas home up until 2024.
Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Rebel Report. We'll be back next week covering more of the NFR and upcoming showdown between Duke and UNLV at the T-Mobile Arena.
You can catch up on all our previous shows on our YouTube channel at Rebel Report UNLV and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Rebel Report UNLV. We'll see you next week.